Hello! Today I thought I'd decorate some eggs for Easter. These aren't just any eggs, these ones are rubber! I found them in a shop and they look quite realistic, and I thought that these might be better to decorate than actual eggs because then I don't have to worry about the yolks getting them out or anything going bad over time. These ones should last forever. So I've got all sorts of paints. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them yet. I was just going to make up some designs as I go along. I have all of my leftover paint by numbers paints, which I can't bring myself to throw out, but I might use them to paint some of the eggs at least. I also have here my little liquid pearls, which could be fun. And I also have a bunch of other acrylic paints and metallic paints, so let's get into it. So my first egg, I thought I'd paint a cute baby chick hatching out of the egg, but I quickly discovered that I really should have put gesso on first because that paint did not want to stick. The yellow was incredibly transparent and you could just see straight through it, so I added in some white to begin with, but I really should have gessoed that rubber first because the acrylic paint was not happy, and in future layers it started lifting off the lower layers even though I'd let the thing dry, so it was very frustrating and I ended up making a lot more work for myself than if I'd have just put the gesso on first. So I learned from this mistake and made sure that all of my other eggs had a layer of gesso on. So my original idea was to paint just the top of the egg and leave the bottom of the egg as that natural colour, so it looked like the chick was hatching out, but you'll see a bit later it didn't work as well as I wanted. And finally I started to get enough yellow on there, and then I drew some very wobbly eyes and a beak. I used a little Posca pen to do that and ended up just painting the white on because the pen wasn't working. And then I decided the yellow just looked too streaky, so I got some of my yellow liquid pearls out and covered the entire chick. I was trying to get a feather texture here, and I actually think it turned out quite nice in the end. It's very shiny and pearlescent. You can see on the bottom there that I had lovely fingerprints all over it. I could not get that off, so I decided that the bottom of the egg was going to be painted in a lovely blue colour. And actually I think it turned out better anyway because the blue and the yellow are nice contrasting colours, and so it was easy to see the difference between the shell and the chick. So I did a couple of layers of the blue and then covered the bottom of it with some blue liquid pearls. I was going to leave it plain, but it just didn't look quite right and I was getting quite a lot of streakiness from the paints, so the liquid pearls just hides all of that, and I really like the metallic sheen that it gave. Once everything had fully dried, I poured on some clear varnish just to seal everything in and prevent any scratches or anything like that. I had to do the top half of the egg and let it dry first before I could do the bottom half. That's the only trouble with the spheroid object. But it turned out really cute and I really do like this one. I actually wasn't thinking it was going to turn out at all when I first started just because the paint wasn't sticking, but after I put on multiple layers it got a lot better and I really love the liquid pearls. On to the next one. Now I'm painting this one with black gesso. This is a really matte black and I decided I wanted at least one black egg in this bunch. I painted on a couple of layers and it took about 4 turns to paint all of the egg, and then I'm going in just with the liquid pearls this time and painting on a bit of a design, doing some swirls and dots, and I tried to make a bit of an ombre effect by going in with the lightest pink and then slowly moving down to darker pinks and a deeper red, and then I think I ended up with a slate black at the end on the bottom of the egg. This was the easiest one to do because I wasn't really making any particular design, I was just doing a recurring pattern, and it was really fun. I just adore these liquid pearls. They are so much fun to use, although it did get a bit messy there, but it doesn't really matter. And I enjoyed this egg just because it was nice and simple and I didn't have to worry about painting multiple layers. I just worked my way down the egg. I did let the top part dry before I added this layer on though, because you can see I'm touching the top of the egg and it was much easier to hold the egg in my hand than it was to paint it while it was sitting in the egg cup. And here's that black slate colour, which I ended up quite liking, although it did fade into the background, obviously being black as well. But it does give it a light sheen, and because it was just looking a bit boring, so what I did was get the silver liquid pearls and start at the top, work my way down, and basically add silver into all of the little empty areas there. And that, I think, really brought the whole egg together. joining all the different coloured layers with that uniform silver, and it also just brought out a bit more sparkle in it. So this was a really fun and easy design, and I think this one would be something I would easily do again because it did not take very much time at all, and I really liked how it turned out. It's probably not the most exciting of the eggs that I did, but it does look really pretty. And I did also cover this in gloss, which you will see a bit later, but I glossed it along with the third egg and I didn't want to spoil that one, so I thought I would show you that footage a bit later. And here's the third egg as we speak. I just made up a pattern here. I was just thinking it would be really cool if it looked like the egg was made up of sheets of metal that were joined together. I don't know why I got this idea in my head, but I did. I was thinking something steampunk, I think, and this just came out of that. I did not use any references here. I just drew on kind of a slapdash design with a pencil. I covered it in clear gesso, which looks like I'm painting just straight onto the egg, but I promise you it has a layer of gesso on there. And then I just went with a couple of different greys to give a bit of contrast and value, but you'll see soon that I actually ended up covering everything, and it took me a few layers to actually get the desired effect, because now it just looks a bit funny and those paints did go a little bit patchy, but really I was just trying to get the shapes in. I decided I wanted to use the black Posca marker to outline it, and then I drew in some little rivets, but it did not look very good at the end. It just looked really cartoonish and not the realistic look that I was trying to go for. But it also did give me a nice base when I painted over it again, and then I could see the black lines underneath, so it was quite useful for that. Now I have some metallic paint pots, and I realised I did not have a silver, which is very annoying, so instead I used this bluey colour, which actually worked quite well and gave a nice undertone, and now I'm using some silver metallic wax, which I rubbed on with my finger, and I used a silver liquid pearls to go over all of those lines, and it just looks like it's soldered. I really like how this one turned out. I'm glad I thought of this idea because the black pen was not doing it for me. This made it look so much more realistic. And then I used some coppery metallic face powder for this, which I brushed on dry, and this was to give it a bit of a weathered effect, and most of it I took off, but it just left a few darker areas in the grooves of that liquid pearls. Then I covered everything again with some silver, and here you can see I am glossing both of those eggs, the second and the third one. These eggs were actually surprisingly time consuming, and it took me a long time to get everything done, mainly because of the drying time in between the layers. Because as you can see, I had to let one half dry before I could paint the other. Spherical objects are a nuisance to decorate. That's all I have to say. But adding the clear gloss acrylic over the top of everything really does make it a lot better, and this one turned out so awesome. I was really happy with it. You could see the join where the two halves of the egg go together, but it just kind of blends into the actual design, and it just gives a really cool soldered effect. So on to my last one. I decided I was going to paint a dragon egg. Once again, I did not look at any references, and so this turned out to be a bit of a hot mess. I was trying to add two different colours of blue to get a bit of a blended effect and make part of the scale a bit darker than the top part, but unfortunately the paints were a bit gluggy and it just did not work very well. And also I was really impatient at this point. I just wanted to get it done so that I could have this video finished for you, and this one took the longest time, mainly because those scales just took forever. They're not very well drawn. I lost the pattern a few times, so some of them are a bit wonky and it's not perfect, but never mind. I would try this again at a later time once I've now figured out what I'm doing a little bit, but I did lose my patience here, and I dropped the egg a couple of times, and one of them I dropped it on the wet paint and it went all over my desk, so there was a fair bit of swearing involved in this one, and it's probably good that I did not record my audio at that time. I mean, I must have painted Easter eggs when I was little, but I just don't remember ever doing it, so this felt like it was my first time ever decorating an Easter egg. It seems so weird that I never had done one before. Oh, and I thought I was trying to get a bit more lightness into there, and I used a lighter blue, but it just looks really stupid, so I ended up giving up and painting over everything with some of my different pearlescent paints. I started with the purple and then went with a darker blue down the bottom. I used a lighter blue liquid pearls at the top, and I also have a darker blue that I used on the lower level of the egg. I was originally going for a light to dark effect, but in the end, after I'd done this, it wasn't quite what I wanted, and I really loved the dark section of it. It looked really cool here until I added the gold. This is a white gold metallic, and it looked really great at the bottom of the egg, but it just blended in at the top too much and lost all effect. So I ended up just painting the whole egg in the dark blue, going over it with white gold, and then covering it with gloss, because at this point I just needed to get this done. So I also had to wait for one half to dry before painting the other half, but it didn't take too long, and I do quite like it, but I just think it could be much better. It's a bit wobbly, and I don't know. What do you think of it? Do leave a comment down below, and also let me know which one is your favourite egg. I will be showing all 4 of them in just a moment. And here they all are. I'm quite happy with how they turned out. The chick surprised me at how well it came out. This one's so cute, I really like it. And now I'm thinking maybe I should have done all cutesy animals, but I do really love this metal one. I think this is quite possibly my favourite. I just love how it looks like it's soldered and riveted, and it really genuinely does look like metal. If I could do over any, it would be that dragon egg, and I'm not sure how I would actually improve it though, so I might revisit this in a future video and see if I can make some better looking eggs. But that's all I have for today. I had kind of fun doing it, although they were a bit more frustrating than I was expecting. I think it's just because I'm actually quite tired at the moment, and so I am going to take a little break, and I'm going to skip a video on Wednesday, so I will be back again with another video next week on Saturday. And I hope you all have a happy Easter, whether or not you celebrate it, but you might still have an Easter break. Here we have Good Friday and Easter Monday are public holidays, so it's a 4-day weekend. Woohoo! And the weather's looking spectacular, so I'm hoping to spend some time out in it and just take a bit of a break. Take care out there, and I'll see you all again really soon. I'll swatch you later. Bye!